Hi, this is Holly Robbins again with Effective Dialogue Basics. You'll notice that I have already changed the name of this video series from the last time before it was called Nonviolent Communication Basics. It is based on that methodology and philosophy of Marshall Rosenberg. I've changed it primarily because I like the word effectiveness for helping people to focus on what we're trying to achieve within a dialogue. We want dialogues that are mutually satisfying, mutually beneficial, and productive, and that not only get our point across, but that genuinely build and strengthen the relationship. This is, in my mind, what all dialogue should be aimed at initially. The reason I'm focusing on this is because a lot of the time people don't know how to have an effective dialogue, especially when sensitive subjects come up or when you're dealing with politics, you're dealing with religion. There's a gridlock that already happens the second one person learns the other one's a Republican and the other one's a Democrat. The discussion is already over, and I don't think that's necessary at all. So that's why I like to call this Effective Dialogue Basics. Again, in order to engage in a very satisfying dialogue, it will take two people to be interested in having an effective dialogue. And they will have to have a somewhat similar definition of effective, even if they're not addressing the word effective. If they want to have a good dialogue, they're going to have a certain set of common goals. Not necessarily political and not necessarily religious and not even philosophical. What is needed truly is to have a philosophy of conversation. So that is what I would like to present to you in this video series of Effective Dialogue Basics. I briefly wanted to address one more way to help you develop the analytical self. It's actually one of my very most favorite ways because it's so simple and just about anybody can relate to it. In addition to viewing it as a scientist and looking at the emotions as the lab rat in the lab, I wanted to teach you a phrase that is very, very simple and that will help you to get into your analytical frame of mind. This video will be very short because it's incredibly easy. And the phrase is, interesting. The reason I like the phrase, interesting, is because it automatically puts one into the frame of mind of making note of what's interesting about the situation. So all it will take for you to get into your scientist, into your analytical self, is to pause for a moment, and you have to be careful how you say this if you're going to say it. It might be best at first just to say it in your own mind because it can be taken as sarcastic, and you don't want any of that. Again, we're still in the mode of just practicing, just you learning how to do this. And if you happen to be in conversations with other people and you are still working on just you can do this in your own mind just fine. And so if somebody says something, whatever it is, you can say in your mind, interesting. And immediately, if you are experiencing any emotion with regard to the subject that they were talking about, it will pull you out of that emotion a little bit to be able to look at what you're experiencing. So when you say, interesting to yourself, you might be saying, interesting, what this person just said is interesting. Or more importantly, it could mean that you're observing the thought or the feeling that has come into your being. You are your own lab rat, after all, and you are the most important lab rat right now, because we haven't even entered into dialogue with people yet. Obviously, you're already going to be in dialogues, or you're going to be observing dialogues and hearing people engaged in dialogue. And you can use this everywhere. It's one of the most powerful tools. Just in the middle of it, say, interesting, to yourself. You can also do it while you're watching a TV show. And the main thing about it is that you're saying it in that frame of mind of a scientist. You don't want to say, interesting, or be enigmatic or anything like that, because then you're throwing spin onto that and you're not being the scientist anymore. It could even be manipulative if you're not careful. So initially, that's why it's best to keep it to yourself, because again, you're working on developing your own inner scientist. I hope you can use that. That's my very short video for today, and I hope that you find it beneficial in helping to cultivate your analytical self.